evening again, folks. We want to say a pleasant good evening and welcome to another edition of my Lutheran Connections. Um, on today's edition, we have our brother James Moniba, and the team from St. Andrew's Lutheran Parish there in Gaytown on the Old Road. We will be looking at and discussing the town hall event that is scheduled for to take place among the candidates, the qualified candidates, Brother Monimba, and he will be joined by the Reverend Sumo P. Kokolo. But today, again, as usual, we have on set our ambassador there in Freetown, Sierra Leone, Brother Jerry Tablo, and also our brother Josiah Jokai. He is joining us from Connecticut. Um, our colleague from Liberia, Monrovia, Brother Abel Lewell, will be joining us very, very shortly. Again, we want to say thank you very much and a pleasant and a warm welcome to everyone. Um, Brother Moniba, we again want to say welcome to you. Welcome to the show. Um, Fee at home as we discuss the pending the town hall event. So at this time, I will go over to Connecticut and I will join our brother Josiah Jokai. He will be um, moving up from a little bit, and then we will switch over to Sierra Leone, and also we will be coming back here in Georgia.
Thank you very much, Willie. Let me add my voice to yours to welcome the ambassador. I know it was just one of the shows he missed, but it's a good thing to have him on. Brother Jerry, we want to say welcome. Today's show promises to be great as always. And our special guest, thank you for honoring our invitation. It's good to have you here so that we all can collectively preview the pending debate, Kennedy's debate. So I just like to say welcome, and then I will go over to Freetown where Jerry is seated to hear from Jerry.
All right, thank you so much, colleagues. I'm very excited to be here today, and I want to say again, thank you to Anthony, Brother James Mulba, for accepting our invite so that we can be able to preview the Bishopric Town Hall debate that should be conducted by St. Andrew's Parish. And I think organizing this identical debate is Anthony Brother James Mulba and Reverend Kokolo. Reverend Kokolo will join us shortly as we go through with the program. So, Anthony Mulba, we want to say welcome to the My Lutheran Connection platform, a platform that discuss all things Lutheran. And we are here to ensure that we provide information to many viewers, home and abroad, that are anxious and eager to understand the candidates, the role that they are going to play, the manifestos, and what they intend to do to change, progressively the outlook of the Lutheran Church in Liberia. We want to thank you for organizing this kind of closed-door debate to be able to ensure that electors are clear with what they are going to really get from the candidates and how they can be able to, elect and put in place in office. At this stage, we would like to know from you what have you put in place in terms of procedures, in terms of mechanism, in terms of structure to have a successful debate? Can you just give us a small insight in terms of preparation?
Brother
Hello?
Mamba, are
Sorry,
you there?
sorry, I'm trying to unmute. Sorry for the
Okay,
long time.
that's fine.
So let me say thank you very much again for the invite, as I indicated, for giving us the opportunity to share light on what is it that we want to do, what is it that we want to do, how we want to bring the candidates together, and how we conceive this event. Reverend is not here right now. Reverend, I think he's having some network issue, but I hope that he can join us.
Uh,
But
he,
just to
he,
provide,
he's here, but it's like he has some background interference. That's why he's on mute.
okay. So if Reverend is here, and if Reverend, if you can just give an overview, then before we go into the details. If not, I can proceed. But Reverend, over to you.
All right, hello. Can you
Yeah,
get me?
hello, Buckler.
All
Yes,
right.
Reverend, proceed.
We this came as an idea from the men that was already first in one of the men's meeting, and that since we have these candidates and they all vying for the same position, let us give them, let us find means to get them together to see how best we can hear from them. And so it was based on that that we decided to have this town hall meeting. And based on the decision to have a town hall meeting, we decided to find out what, how can we do it. And we actually decided that election, many of us, sometimes people have size, but what we do is that let's have a town hall meeting. And as we call the town hall meeting, we have the candidates together. Then we can have some questions that we will draw, out, that will be asked the candidates on the day of the debate, and not those questions are not going to be known to the candidates until the day the, of the debate. They will respond to us. We tend to have at most 10 questions, but it could be less than that, but at most it's 10. And then we tend to have at most 5 minutes to each of the questions. So we are calculating somewhere around like having like 30 minutes allotted to a candidate, which will take us to some 2 hours or 2 hours 30 minutes. And so that's how we decided it, and that's how we planning it. Working on it, putting some things together to see how best we can have the candidate. All of the candidates are already have done a follow up with them. Um, those are in Liberia here, they consented, with the exception of the one that is in the diaspora that we're trying to also make it available by means of Zoom. So these are things that we putting together, and that's how the idea came about, and that's how we decided to have the, 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 the town hall meeting. And we set a committee that Brother James Monimba is chairing that committee as the organizing committee chair. So he will further elaborate on what we are planning to do.
I have a follow up question, Reverend. Just before
Hello?
the money back can come in.
Can you get me?
Yes, we're hearing you. We're hearing you, Reverend. Are you hearing us very well? Reverend, are you hearing us?
Go ahead with the
Yeah.
follow up.
Okay,
Maybe I can
the
respond.
follow up question here is this is the first of its kind in our church. And
Yeah,
how
I'm hearing you. I'm hearing you loud and clear.
okay, good. This is the first of its kind in our
Yes,
church.
I'm hearing you clear.
Okay, good. Thank you, thank you.
Go-
As I
You
was
talk
saying,
about
this
you
is
have
the
a
first of
follow-up
its
question.
kind.
I'm waiting for your follow.
I
Yeah,
Yeah.
think I think your audio is delaying to the
yeah.
reverend, so it's like we
Oh,
are ahead of him.
are you hearing me, Brother Mulba?
Yes, I am.
Okay, good. So, as I was saying, this is the first of its kind in our church history. Okay, and I really want to commend you guys for coming up with this idea. But how did you get to pull this off? You know, as a congregation, how did you get to pull this off, reaching this far?
Okay, so I think Reverend provided a very good overview of how we thought about this. So we do normally discuss the church's elections every time as a church,
Yeah. Can you please
or
on your laptop?
see
On
auxiliary.
your laptop.
So in our men's meeting,
Yeah.
hello, Reverend, you need to
On your
mute, Reverend.
glasses.
Hello, Reverend, can you mute?
I will take care of that. Okay, yeah.
Okay,
Go ahead.
okay. So in our last men's meeting, when we met, one of the things we discussed was how do we make this process participatory? How do we make the ordinary Lutheran as part of this process? And you know that not everyone has the right to vote in the church. So the church will send a delegation. Either it's the pastor, the assistant pastor, or let's say the clergy, and and others who are so qualified by our constitution to vote. But we thought that ordinary citizens, ordinary parishioners, should have an opportunity where they can interact with the candidates for them to just share an idea of what is it that they have in store, what is it that they plan that they have for the church as they have decided to take over the leadership if they are elected. And so we brainstormed, and one of the key issues that came out was that we do not want to see this as the ordinary political process. And what do I mean? We don't want to make it like a worldly process, where you bring in candidates to kind of debate, they asking each other questions and what have you. But we still thought that it was an opportunity to bring the candidates together to share their ideas. And so we brainstorm until we zero in on, okay, let's have a town hall meeting. Let's see whether that is possible. We say, okay, town hall meeting, good. But then how do we do it in such a way that it doesn't appear that you are supporting a particular candidate? So we say, okay, we organize a town hall meeting. The first thing is to send out communications to them to see whether they want to buy the idea. And in the communication, what we did was that we zero in on the process, the format that we've conceived, and we sell to them. And if they agree to the idea, then of course we can now go ahead with the other processes. So in the communication we sent to them, first we congratulated them to say, congratulations on, being part of the process. And we're looking forward to working with them. And then we explained that we are organizing, or we thought to organize a town hall meeting where we want to bring all of the candidates together. And the candidates will be asked the same question. So if we ask you, what is your name? That question, what is your name, is going to cut across to all of the candidates. And if we want to ask you, where were you born? That question will be cut across to all of the candidates. The second part we also indicated in our letter was that we want to get predefined questions. Meaning we're going to have the questions already developed. We're not going to be taking questions from the floor. So parishioners will be there to listen, but you will not be allowed to ask questions. So we have moderators, and those moderators will be the one who will ask the questions. They will be the one who will be able to ask the follow-up questions as well. So we're not going to have somebody putting their hand up to say, oh, I want to ask candidate B, I want to ask candidate C to clarify this. No, we're not going to do that. And so as we anticipated that we're going to all accept, we got a positive feedback. Everyone seems to be excited that there's an opportunity to explain what is it that they want to do for the church. And that will influence people to vote for them or to vote against them. So as the Reverend indicated, except for one candidate who had indicated that for travel reasons, he's not going to be in Liberia. He's going to be out in the US, and that is, I think, Reverend Guba. And so we are finding a way to have him participate virtually, either through Zoom or some other means to participate. But all of the other candidates have consented to come and to be a part of the process. Now, those of us who have chosen to be a part of the process, our idea is that we should be seen as neutral as possible as we can, because people will have all sort of say that you have a say or you have a side, and so that is why we're trying to make the process transparent, open, to the extent that the candidates will see us playing that role. And so we are in the process of identifying moderators within a church who also will be seen as transparent, as neutral as possible. So that because we don't want it to be an entirely St. Andrew affairs. So we want to go outside to other parishes to bring in other people who will also help to moderate this process. Although we conceive the idea, but we think that this is a church process. And so we want to bring in others. We are brainstorming to see who we want to identify to bring to serve as moderators. And we want to have one male and one female to moderate the process. So I think that's how far we are. If you got maybe, as we go along, probably go into the details.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead, brother Ty. But I had some
Okay.
other questions, from his response. So
I know, I know. Come on. And Reverend, we want to say thank you so much. We also want to say thanks to Anthony, Brother Moniba, for the expose. We think that it's a very good initiative, and as my colleague Willie said, this is first of its kind, and we will have to be meticulous as we proceed. Now, I would like to know, in terms of procedure, this should be an initiative that should involve all Lutherans, despite the fact they are not going to ask questions because you got a question predefined, but at least they will want to hear and listen to their candidates. We intended to open the space, but for some obvious reasons, they thought that it would be too publicized and they wanted it to be closed. And I think that is the reason why this town hall is welcoming, and we appreciate that. How are we intending, St. Andrews and the organizer, intending, for example, to reach to parishioners in the Grand Cru, parishioners in the Maryland, parishioners in the Grand Kipma, and other counties to follow this town hall meeting? For the matter of fact, I think that Moravia District, because St. Andrews is in Moravia District, let's consider that to say Moravia District organizing. How are we intending to get parishioners from other districts to also follow and participate, not by asking questions, but at least listen?
Thank you very much. So let me start with the Moravia District first. So what we've done, we've sent out communications to the Moravia District, to the parishes within Moravia District. And I do agree with you. We need to, although the idea was conceived by St. Andrew, but this is the church. And so we need to make it as participatory as possible as we can. Notwithstanding the, as you may be aware, there is an embargo, I would call it, on social media activity by the bishop. And I think that was endorsed by the bishop and all of the clergymen that they know, because of the way it was proceeding. So we want to be very careful how we proceed with this, so as not to be seen as going against that mandate. And so I think we have to find a way, because there are some social media platforms that you can use, and people cannot make comments. You can restrict it. You cannot make comments. You cannot make anything, but you can listen. And so, for example, Zoom is one of the tools that we can use. and people can just listen, and you don't have to make comments, and you cannot make any inputs. And so we will explore those possibilities to see how we can be able to connect people in and outside of Liberia, including some of you who may have interest that you right now you want to join through Zoom to listen and follow the process. So it's a good recommendation, and I think I will take this to the committee for us to see how we can factor that in this process, to have a process that will be able to allow people to join, whether in Liberia or outside, to participate in the process.
Okay, so Willie, before you come in, Willie, please, before you come in, sir, I will give you the time. Let's look at. Thank you very much for that response, and I think it's a very good approach. Let us look at the issue of not appearing to be biased or taking a side. Could you give us an insight on the criteria that you are going to use in selecting your moderators?
Okay, so what we want to do is, firstly, as I indicated, it's not just by people seeing you as being neutral. You have to demonstrate that yourself. And, I always joke in a church. In fact, the day I was nominated, and I told them, I always joke that I'm not one of those who will say I'm a born Lutheran. So I joined the church at a certain point in time of my life. Besides that, some of the candidates, I don't even know them, or they did not even know me. So the colleagues are saying that is why you are the appropriate person to chair this committee, because you cut across, and if your name is called to one of the candidates, will be asking, who is that person? Because they don't even know you. So that alone. And the second part is that you don't have a voting power. You can't vote. And so, we want to consider some of those factors, that you need to look at people track record. Because if your name is called and somebody say, oh, no, but that person, the other day they were supporting candidate A, or they did, a social media post that seems to have supported this candidate B, then obviously we can consider you. We had thought initially that we could manage it internally, because internally as a church, St. Andrew, they know me, and maybe we could know Sarah, or we could know Mary, and we could say this person, we trust this person. But we thought that we need to open it up. And opening it up, it gave us additional responsibility of finding the appropriate individuals who will be neutral. And if you are requested to participate in the process, and you say yes, you want to participate in the process, you have to. Even if you have not taken side, then you have to remain as neutral as possible until this entire process is over. And so that is what we want to do. And we're hoping that we identify candidates that will be suitable for this exercise, because we don't want to be seen as St. Andrew taking over everything, though.
Stop you.
All right. Again, brother Money, but I want to say thank you very much, and thank you to the St. Andrews family for coming up with this idea. I have two.
Okay. All right.
My first question has to do with my first question had to do with the process leading to you conceive the idea, the process leading to you like going to send out communication to the candidates. Did you have to seek approval from the elections committee? Did you have to seek approval from the bishop's office before you proceeded, or you just say, like, this is the idea, and people bought the idea, say, yeah, this is a great idea, this is a great idea, and you went right away, you started to engage the qualified candidates? That's my first question. Okay, yeah. If you can respond to that question, then we can go now to the to my next question, please.
Okay, thank you very much. Again, we thought that this process should be as, how do I call it? Free from external, if I would call it that way, external interference. so that we don't be seen as people saying, oh, the bishop had to give them the go ahead, or the bishop said no, or the bishop contributed questions to the process. And so, no, we did not seek approval from the bishop. We did not seek approval from the elections committee. We did not seek approval from anybody outside of the church. All we did was to seek approval from the parish council. After we had a discussion, because the pastor is part of the men's auxiliary, we did a communication to the parish council, saying our ideas to them. They say, yeah, it's good. We think it's a good idea. Let's explore. And so we drafted the letters, different letters, including sending letter to the bishop himself. We've written him formally, inviting him to this event, and we are certain that he's going to be there. We have not sent the letter to the elections committee, but we're also thinking about sending them a letter, sending them a CC copy of the letter to tell them that they should be a part of the process. But we want this to be parishioners driven, people driven, so that it's not about the bishop coming. It's not about the dean of the Monrovia district coming. No, or giving us approval. It's about the future of the church. It's about the candidate who he or she who has expressed their interest of becoming bishop of this church, coming to explain to the ordinary people what plans they have for the church. And so, and that is what I said, we want to see this process as free from interference as possible as it can be. And so, mark my word, we've written the bishop a courtesy letter to say we are having this event. You are invited to participate in the process. And I'm not even sure we're going to have space where we say bishop can and say something. No, if we do that, we haven't even reached our decision. So it's a process that will be exclusively for the candidates who will have 5 minutes, more or less, to introduce themselves, to say what plans they have for the church. And then thereafter, we ask you the set of questions. If it's going to be 10, 5 questions, whatever we come up with eventually, the same questions will be asked to all of the candidates. So that is how we have proceeded so far.
Brother Monroe, again, I want to say again, I will continue to say thank you. Okay, I will continue to say thank you, for providing the clarity. And just for the record, that this is a parish decision. You did not seek any approval from the bishop or from the elections committee. All right. So my second question is this: as you spoke earlier, you made emphasis on this is not only, it shouldn't be seen only as a St. Andrew event. This should be seen as an event for our entire church. It should be seen holistic. And also, you talked about the fact that people who are, like for you, for example, you don't have voting right, but people are invited to come, to come and listen to those who, first of all, we gotta look at the spiritual side. Those who have told us that they have received the call, because it is a calling, that they have
Mhm,
received the call to lead
mhm,
us, okay, to lead the church. But I'm a bit confused that I am coming. This is something new to our church. I am coming to listen to someone who says that he or she has received the call to lead our church, but I don't have the right, I don't have the opportunity to even ask them a question. That's why my confusion comes in. Okay, so if someone is going to be lead, because we, the electors, we, even the observers, we, if you want to put it in the secular word, we are the employers. of those people that come in to take care of the church. We are the one giving them the power. So if for example, like you said, Brother Moneyback, we don't like I don't know you. I'm from St. Andrew. I'm put myself in St. Andrew. I don't know you. Okay. You want to be president of St. Andrew. I don't know you. I cannot just give you power. I might be taking power to give it to Brother Tableau that I know from St. Andrew, rather giving the power to you. But if I ask you some questions and based on your response, I say I think Brother Moneyback has what it takes to lead our church, St. Andrews. So just putting it in that context, doesn't I mean I found that confusing and I mean, how do you relate that to like those that are coming to the event, so to speak? Are, are they just coming to listen? Are they just coming to watch? How do you
Okay.
relate giving them the opportunity to ask questions or to learn more about those who want to lead the church? Isn't it
Okay.
important to give them the opportunity?
So thank you very much. As I indicated from the beginning, we want to see this process as free of interference. We want to see this process um, as possible as it can be, playing a level playing field. We do not have control over those who are coming on that day. Say, say a pastor comes from St. Peter's or from St. Matthew. We do not know which side he or she is taking in the whole process. We are not going to interview people to say which side are you taking or are you neutral before you ask questions. No. And trust me, as indicated in the circular walk, if you go to other debates, if I'm asking candidate A a question and I support candidate B, obviously you know my tone and the questions I'll be asking will be to honor my candidate A. And so we don't want to be seen as asking questions to somebody is asking questions from candidate A, and then, you know, that same question is not asked to candidate B, or candidate B does not have the opportunity to respond to a question that seemingly would be promoting candidate A when candidate B should be asked the same question. No, we do not have control over what sort of questions people will ask. That is why we do not want. And I think this is the first time this is happening. Has there been a time where people ask Kennedy this question in the church? Even this one, right? Even this one now that's ongoing. Is there any process, any event there that where the candidates can be able to present themselves and people ask questions? We take this as the worst case scenario for us. We say if that opportunity is not provided for people to ask, we really have an opportunity where the candidates can explain themselves, you know, and then once they explain themselves, people listening to them, then it can be at least people go with something that they've heard from them. Rather than saying, you don't hear anything from them, or you know, like John Brown wants to become bishop, and you have to go and vote. On what basis are they do they want to become bishop? You have no idea, you know. But this provides an opportunity to listen to them. And trust me, the questions that we'll be asking are questions that cut across. We don't show, I'm not sure we'll be asking questions that will not interest the voters. We
But
are going to be asking questions in our mind that is going to be in the best interest of the church and the future of the church. And so we trust that those questions will be questions that the ordinary Lutherans or even voters will have interest in. But trust me, we don't want to go put our hands in something that we don't have control over. That is why we say no, we don't want to have people asking questions because we do not have control over what sort of question you will ask.
so again, my follow up to that would be this: that you have the questions, you have like questions that are already been written, right? And
Yeah,
you're gonna ask these questions. The questions are private, okay?
yeah, yeah.
Uh, then and according to you, that this event should be seen as an event that it should involve all of the parishes, let's say in
Yeah.
Monrovia district, right? You've
Yeah.
invited the parishes in Monrovia district, but they do not get the chance to get involved in the question rating process. So
Again, that's
how do you how do you like say that they're going to be satisfied with the questions that will be written, or let's say the
again,
questions that are written?
again, that's part of the that's part of the that's part of the process of trying to manage and demonstrate our neutrality. Because say for example, a pastor A from a church submitted a question to us, and we took that question as part of the questions. If that pastor is supporting candidate B, and he or she sent that question to that pastor, to that candidate, we have no idea. And then in that case, we are not creating a level playing field, because that candidate, that person has already shared that question with that person, but we have no idea. And so we think, those of us who have conceived the idea, we want to manage it in such a way that there's no semblance of giving somebody an advantage over another. So if I ask, for example, Ambassador Tablo to send me questions, and if he's supporting candidate A, what happens? I do not know whether he has sent the question to candidate A, right? And then on the day of the town hall meeting, candidate A is asked a question, and he's smart, pump, 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 pump. And then you ask candidate B cannot respond because he has no prior knowledge of the question. And you and I know, if you have the slightest hint of a question, you do some research, you identify the key things people want to hear, right? So that is why we said no. We're not going to ask somebody to send us questions, no. But we will take questions that are thematic areas, whether it's spiritual, whether it's financial sustainability, whether it's the growth of the church, whether it's getting more members in the church, whatever thing, but it's going to be thematic, and it's going to cut across the things that we are talking about in the church every day. So if you are prepared to lead the church, questions coming from the thematic areas, you'll be ready to respond to them.
Before Brother Tablet can come in, I still want to make a follow up to that. The questions are drawn by the committee. Am I correct? So if the questions are drawn by the committee, am I correct, Brother Moneyba? I think you're on mute. The questions are drawn by the committee, right?
Yes.
And then you threw in something to say that if, for example, a question is written from a question is submitted from St. Matthew's, right? Okay, you don't know if the person who wrote the question from St. Matthew has shared with his interest, has shared with the person that he has interest in, the candidate, right? But the committee now that will be writing those questions, can you give a guarantee that everyone on that committee, all of the committee members are going to be, all of the committee members are 100% neutral as you are? I want to say, because for you now, you seem to be like the person who is on the fence at this time, right? Are all of the committee members you? And someone asked the question, said, can we know the other committee members? So are you willing to, can you speak on that question, and if you may, you throw a light on the response from the viewers out there saying, can we know the other committee members? Because now we're talking about neutrality.
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead, Reverend Cockler.
Okay, I'm not hearing James. That's why I try to come in. And that's why many have always thought that, especially when it comes to St. Andrews, and people always have the notion that St. Andrew is for a particular candidate. In fact, the entire St. Andrew is for a particular candidate, and that's what we want to That's what we're trying to end. That is not a true story. And this time around, we decided, okay, we will have a town hall meeting, and these candidates that we are going to have, we want to invite. They will convince us as to which way to go. But however, if you want to know the committee member, he is the chair. James is the chair. I serve as IXO member of that committee, and sometimes we have had some other conversation, even on the social media. People feel that I'm taking their side, but I've always spoke in favor of the LCL and not for any candidate. And the committee is like he is the chair. I am I'm an IXO to the chair and to the committee, and we have additional one member. Brother James, are you there?
Brother Jim, he has some technical issues. So just go ahead. Yeah, you said you are on that
Yeah.
committee. You are on that committee, Brother
As an,
James is chairing the committee. Huh?
yeah,
Yeah, go ahead. Brother James is back. Go ahead.
Hello, sorry. Yeah, sorry. I had
yeah,
a little,
and then
break
yeah,
in. So on a question of whether the committee members can be trusted,
yeah,
and whether no one is going to leak the question.
You're right.
So I, as a chair, we have the final set of questions. So we're not going to have 10 questions, so say 10. We're soliciting questions, so it could be 10, 15, what have you. Then we zero in on the set of questions that we will all agree on. But this is the thing. The committee members, there are 3 persons, committee member. So it's me as the chairperson, the men's president, and the pastor is the ex-official to the committee. And so it's not a big group to say, you have 10, 15 persons. No. And so we think, and I trust the other colleagues, that none of us will share the question. I would say maybe I want to give the closest person to me to say with my wife. I'm not going to share with my wife. We go to the same church. She's not even going to know the set of questions I'm going to be asking. No. So, and I will also think that other committee members will do the same, because we want this process to be replicated in the future. And if it doesn't go well, obviously nobody wants to follow what you organize and it go well. No. And so we want this to go down in history as being unprecedented and then successful. It provided an opportunity for people to come to hear the candidates and hopefully inform us getting the best candidate for the church. They are all the best, but we have to get the best of the best. And so that is what we want. And trust me, I don't think any of us, committee members, will take questions to give to a particular candidate because we want a candidate to have an edge or another person. And I'm happy that you're asking the critical questions. I don't know how many persons following now, but I'm happy that you're asking these questions so that people can get to hear from us, to hear and know that we are organizing a process that we want to ensure that is as transparent as possible as it can be.
Brother Tabler, I mean, you can come in. But Mr. Chairman, Brother Modiba, do you care to just mention the name of the other committee member? You said the men president.
Oh, the men president is Francis Duaku.
Francis Duwoko. Okay.
Doko.
Doko.
Duwoko.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Brother Tabler.
So I think it's an opportunity for people to do background on us. So you get the names before they let people do some background search to see whether Brother Moneyman has been campaigning for candidate A or B. People can go. You can view my social media profile. You can view other profiles of me. You can ask other people in the church. You can ask about
Yeah.
local. You can ask about the reverend, and so that people can just have some idea about us.
Brother Tabler, do you have we do have a question here from the viewers. Do you have any questions?
Go ahead with the question.
Okay.
Go ahead with the question
But,
for the viewer.
but
You
I'm
can
wondering
just put
about,
it up so they can see.
yeah, but I'm wondering about, I'd like to share this question out here. This is from our sister Buxton Cully. So the question here reads, I don't understand when you say committee members are trained people. Does being trained suggest neutrality?
Well, I don't I don't recall through this process saying committee members are trained. No, probably I was not, or I was not heard properly, but I don't recall saying that. I said the committee members have demonstrated to some extent a sense of neutrality. And when I started this process, I said those of us who were nominated to be a part of the process, the first thing people thought that we have demonstrated neutrality. One. Number two, we should not just have demonstrated, but we should be seen as demonstrating that neutrality through this process. And I gave an example of myself. I said, the candidates, for example, I don't know all of them. And if you call my name to some of them, they will tell you they don't even know me. So definitely I have no interest in any candidate. And I've indicated, I say, we will do as humanly possible as we can to demonstrate neutrality. So I didn't talk anything about training, and this one has nothing to do with our training.
Right. Maybe brother Monoba, maybe you misspoke, but I think you mentioned something like that, but maybe you misspoke and you were referring to something. So, says Scully, brother Monoba had just clarified that he's not talking about training. He's talking about people, with some high level of credibility, being on a committee. I think that's where he was actually focusing on. Go ahead,
Okay,
brother.
Okay,
before
brother. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, sir.
Go ahead,
no,
brother.
yeah,
Monoba.
yeah, no, so if I may have said that, that means maybe a slip of tongue, but
Right.
this is more about people demonstrating that
Exactly.
neutrality, yeah, and a
Exactly.
semblance of saying that you're creating a level playing field. I think that's what we're
Level
trying to
playing
do
field.
here. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So I would like to say again to St. Andrew's family that there's going to be a maiden edition. Probably that if you organize it and implement and execute so well, many other parishes may want to conceive the idea and follow, but still on the process and the structure. I understood that you said that you may have, or there may be a likelihood of you having a Zoom link share, but restrict as one of the tools that would be used to get mass participants just to participate in sitting and listening. You also will be contemplating having in-person audience. Tell us a little bit of the organization in terms of, if we're talking about in-person and getting other parishes involved, how many persons per parish you are intending to invite, and where will the venue of this debate be? And what is the capacity of that venue to host those number of people that you are intending to invite? So maybe Reverend Populo could take it, or maybe the chair.
Okay, so let me
Okay.
start with maybe. Okay, Reverend is on. Okay, Reverend, go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Reverend.
Okay. Yeah. Are you getting me? I'm speaking. Can you get me?
Yes, brother.
Yes.
Yeah, we are hearing
Hello?
you, brother. Go ahead.
Hello?
We can hear you loud and clear, Reverend. Go ahead. We
Can you
hear
get me?
Yes, we are hearing you very well.
Hello?
Yes, Reverend Cocklo, we are hearing you.
Okay. All right. Yeah, speaking. All right. you talk about a venue. Because we are the host, we decided to have it at St. Andrew. But that we it is true we wrote all of the parishes in the Moravia districts, and letters are being sent out, inviting them. But we know many a times you invite people, not everyone who are invited will always come to the to the program. So we invited the parishes, we invited the pastors and the parishes. So we are expecting that some parishioners from all of the Moravia district parishes will be present, including our parishioners. And the venue is at St. Andrew. But we're hoping that at most we're going to have somewhere around a 200 audience who will come to listen to the program, because that is what we look at. We look at our church, the capacity of our church, and we know that around that number we can be able to host it.
So can you please disaggregate for us? For example, St. Matthew, how many persons are they expected to send to be represented from St. Matthew? How many persons from the Lutheran Church in Matali? How many persons from St. Peter's, for example? Can you disaggregate so we know that accumulated to your 200 persons?
The letters rating, the letter rating did not give a specific number of persons that will come from each parish. But as I said, many a times you write invitation to people. Not everyone who receive invitation attends the program, or not all of the parishioners that we get that information we want to participate. Okay, and so we just send an open invitation to the parishes, and that we know, no matter how much it is, whether we have less of 200, but we are hoping to have 200 and a maximum 200, or maybe it will be a little over 200. Then we can use the corridor for other people to put some chairs so that other people we can have speakers all around for other people to listen to what the candidates will be saying. But we did not really show a specific number of persons that will come, but we anticipate to have not less than 200 in that place.
All right. So the assumption. Okay, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, Brother Tablet, if I may add to Reverend, one of the things we want to do, we want to have a very good sound system, speakers.
Yeah.
Going by your estimation and assuming that we become overwhelmed, that means we have so many persons showing up. We have the capacity, we have the space, sufficient space, that we can be able to mount speakers outside. So you don't have to be in a hall itself, in a church itself. But we'll mount speakers outside. So if you're even seated in a corridor, if you're seated in one of the classrooms, you'll be able to listen and hear. So I'm glad that you are asking that question. We can factor that in our logistics to ensure that we have speakers. In fact, just Saturday, we met and we discussed some other things. But I'm glad that you are bringing that, because it's possible, since saying is an open invite, it's possible that there could be 15, 20 persons coming from one parish, or 50 or 100 persons coming from a parish. And so then we become overwhelmed. And then people say, oh, no, when would even hear anything? So I think we'll factor that in to ensure that we have sufficient speakers outside of the edifice itself, mounted outside, so that people, you can stay in the corridor, you will still listen, you can sit in the classroom, you still hear. So we'll try to work on that to ensure that we have sufficient speakers mounted outside for both to listening.
So in terms of logistics, we're still on logistics. It's good that the assumption holds two ways. One, that you may have less than 200. The second assumption, you may have more than 200, and you're providing other opportunities. You have wished to have a controlled environment where everybody can fit in the church, and then you will be able to control, but some of these discussions, whatsoever we define the question is, it can be animated with people, based on the response, and I'm sure that the candidates are going to be cross-examined, or they will cross-examine themselves and all of those issues. In the event that we take the second assumption that you might be overwhelmed and people will be in a class, or what are some of the other logistical arrangements you've made to be able to control the environment to the extent that everybody will be able to listen and everybody will be able to understand, even those that may be in Zoom land will also be able to get the candidates very clearly, very well, and those candidates will not be distorted or disturbed by noise coming from outside. Because, of course, you don't know the mind of people that will be coming, and there's a likelihood that some of them may want to use some strategies to say, okay, this candidate is about to speak, and so we just go there and disturb so the candidate cannot be heard, so that at least our candidate can overshadow that candidate because maybe the candidate is very eloquent. I'm just giving you some of the strategies sometimes we are politicians in a secular environment can do, and you cannot divulge that from the church for the fact that those that are also participating in this process from the church are also people who participate outside in the more tense and secular, environment. So how are you intending, logistic-wise, to also control in the event that some of those unforeseen circumstances, may arise?
Thank you very much. I mean, before Reverend comes in, the good thing is that I think the mandate from the bishop, I think is to the best of my knowledge, has been how do I put it? People have, to the best of my knowledge, gone by what the bishop has said. Social media posting, we don't see it anymore, and so that has dropped. And so that animation you described about people being a kind of, come to, cheer and what have you, those are the reasons why we say people should even ask questions on the floor. So the next thing is that it's good that we having this chat, and because I think in my mind it's part of the development process leading to this whole event. We cannot divulge this process from people who are in the secular world, because we go to church and we get outside, we are also in the secular world, we see this in the secular area. So I think we should consider developing ground rules that will be read from the very beginning, that you are invited to listen, although we have indicated in our communications that we send out that parishioners will not be allowed to ask questions. Well, in addition to that, I think we should develop ground rules that will be read from the very beginning, that there's no cheering, there's no battle cry, there's no clapping here to say, this person has responded well and this person has not responded well. And to the extent possible, we will try to implement that. That if you go against it, we'll ask you out. We just ask you to just excuse the event, and we can ask you to go somewhere. Since we try to get a Zoom link, you can join the Zoom link wherever you are to listen to it. But if you decide to appear in person, it means that you have to abide by the ground rules that will be read from the very beginning. And I'm happy that we're having this conversation, because some of those things were not things that we had actually thought about. But it will be better from the very beginning. We are the ground rules. You are invited for this event. This is how it's going to be. You are not allowed to do this. You are not allowed to do this. Not even an amen to say amen. No. Listening to the candidates, take away the message. You can go home and celebrate. You can go outside. Once you get home, you can celebrate your candidate to say, oh, my candidate did well, or he or she did not do well. But we don't want any celebration in the church, or any cheering or booing or clapping or something. No. If you go against it, we just politely ask you out. And we hope that the bishop will be there, who is our overall boss, who exercising authority, whoever wants to misbehave. But we are certain that people coming there will come with the mind of listening to get the message from the candidates, and we hope that will be the case.
So, Ravi,
in
Pastor,
addition,
Ravi, you wanted to make an addition.
Yeah,
Okay, go ahead.
yeah. In addition, we know these things. Just as we have normal service, even in a normal service, we have people that we still want to even be talking in service. That's why we have ushers, we have acolytes, and other things. They will be there. We have as much as enough acolyte and ushers that will be able to talk to people if they want to disturb, so that they can calm down, just in case it want to happen. But we are expecting that everyone who comes there will exhibit a Christian behavior. That is our thought. But in case people want to go off here, we will have offhand. We have the acolytes and the ushers deploy all around, so that just in case they see somebody wanting to disturb, they can try to put under control. And if those that want to disturb, they don't say want to get under control. Once the information reaches us, it is possible that we can expel the person from the meeting.
Thank you. So, Mr. Chair and Ravi, would you like to tell us a bit about this the budget of this entire event? Are you going to be providing snacks? Are you going to be providing water for those that for the 200 targeted participants that will come? What's your entire budget for this process, and how are you being supported financially?
You're asking the question. I know you were in the meeting Saturday that we had, and I was one of those who said that there should not be an event that we're calling a party. No, there should be an event that people should demonstrate love for church. So you're coming to demonstrate your love for the church, and your presence there on that day is to make an informed decision. And so you don't come looking forward to St. Andrews giving you, the best treatment. And I gave an example on that day. I said, when we invite people to come to preach to our Father's Day or special guests or Mother's Day, it's different. We do all the protocols associated. In this case, we'll try the best as we can to provide water for people, for the drink water and what have you, and take care of the candidates. The candidates and the bishop, have special, care for them, or our clergymen have special care for them. Other people come with the expectation that we will provide you water to drink. We know times are high, and so we are squeezing our meager resources as a church to do this. So we hope that people will see this, that and don't go away saying, when did they even give us food? No, we want to see it, as I indicated, that people will demonstrate this as love for church. So you come with the mind that you're coming to listen to the candidates, so that we get the best candidate going forward to help us to develop the church, to make our church better.
Mr. Chair, let me interrupt you. Mr. Chair, let me interrupt you a bit. I know for the way that you are still in flight, but I don't want you to lose sight before you land. What is the cap? How meager is the meager? I mean, that is what we want to know. What is your cap? That is what we want to know.
No, at this point, we will not be able to tell you what is our cap. To say this is what we've set that we're going to spend. No. We had deliberated on Saturday, and we are working on a budget. And that budget will be presented to the parish council chair. So at this point, no. But we're just discussing the inputs. What is it that we will do? And one of the things that we considered was that people should be provided water, at least if we can't do anything. Somebody come to your church for 1 hour, 2 hours, let's provide them water, at least to drink. Provide water for people to drink, and give them places to be seated, those kind of things. Let's accommodate, let's provide the ministry which people will feel as home as possible.
Are you anticipating getting some financial help from outside, or is going to come from St. Andrew's budget? And and when you say special care to the candidates and to our bishop, can you decipher that? Can you unpack that or bundle that when you say special care? What does that mean? We're talking about transparency, openness in the church. So what is special care? People cannot think,
Yeah, so that means when we invite the bishop as a church, we need to provide snacks for the bishop. We need to provide him water. The candidates have consented to come to this event. This is not their event. They will have a letter to say, no, I'm not coming there. I will go to each parish to explain. But they have a letter to come. So we see it as a responsibility on our side also to provide them snacks, providing water. So it's not going to be anything extraordinary. Let's put it that way, but just to show to them that we do appreciate their presence, we do appreciate the fact that they are helping us to make this event successful.
Waiting just one more. Maybe that one Reverend Kokolo could take on it, because it's more on the spiritual aspect of the entire thing. Reverend, when you got the feedback from your colleague stating that they are going to be present and they are going to honor your invitation so that they can come and state, what they made of. What was the behind the scenes, since we're talking all things Lutheran? What was some of the behind the scenes discussion as it relates to you pastors, in showing that you consider the spirituality and you don't consider the secular aspect of this thing, and that you people will respect the rules and decorum will be the order of the day? What was the behind the scene dialogue at the pastoral level, the clergy level, that were discussed?
Well, thank you very much. Those that I communicated with and they consented, or the candidates that communicated with, they consented, and I plainly told them our plan, just as we've explained some of the things that we have explained here. We want people to exhibit. You can talk to your candidate, your supporters who are coming there. We want people to exhibit good moral attitude. It is not a place where you come and other people, while your supporters are there, and maybe chanting a battle cry. Having flyers and carrying it all around. No, it's not a place for campaign. But it is a place where you are given the opportunity to be heard by the people, so that you can share. You can.
Hello.
Yeah.
So yeah, let me take it directly. We understood that some of the problems that got some of the supporters moving haywire and all those stuff was just right from the pastors, and you can attest to that some of the pastors or the clergy member became a problem to the process that escalated, inflamed the situation to the point where the bishop had to come with an embargo. These pastors are coming. You all are clergymen that should be leading the flock. Forget about the supporters and the attitude. The chairman has stated that ground rules will be laid, and so that will be dealt with. It's going to be somewhat embarrassing to say, oh, pastor, please excuse us, and all that kind of thing. And we're talking about the decorum of the pastors at that level, the clergy at that level, and looking at the spirituality of the entire process, not being secular process. What are the conversations you guys are having to ensure that this process is successful among yourself? So pastors cannot be throwing jabs at other pastors. and pastors cannot,
Well,
undermine or jeopardize the situation. Forget about the supporters. You people, the clergy, what is the process or discussion or dialogue you guys are having to ensure decorum to the entire occasion?
okay. Now, my dialogue, I have only had dialogues with the candidates that we are inviting, but I've never had dialogues with other pastors within the Moravia district or outside of the Moravia district that may want to be that we want to be at the town hall meeting. But my concern have been with the candidates, those that we are inviting, and they already, all of us know. Most often I speak to them as exactly as Bishop have already stated, that we are not going to go against anything that Bishop stated. That's why we are very careful with the planning of this town hall meeting, so that we will not violate one of the counts that Bishop posted in the memo. And so we are remind them of those things that are stated in Bishop's memo, especially the candidates that have been talking with, that this is what exactly we are going to go by. In the past, I have been one of those, some of those things that Bishop mentioned in the memo. I have been one of those that was really in favor of that. Even before he put out a memo, there are some things that happened and I spoke against that were mentioned in the memo. So I always remind them of these things. The candidates, I have not had the opportunity to talk with other pastors, but since that it have come to my attention, I think it's also good that some of the pastors that are heading the Moravia district parishes, we can talk with them and tell them that even the parishioners they are coming with, this is what we expect of them.
Yeah. Woody, do we have any question? Do we have
yeah, so I'd like to pick up from where my colleague was on regarding like having the candidates come in, not the candidates, the participants, okay, the attendees at the town hall. Reverend and Mr. Chairman, Brother Moniba, Brother Moniba earlier spoke. He said that from the conversation today, they are going to see the need to establish ground rules. He mentioned a whole lot. Can't you also see that a need for having audience to participate? You could draw a ground rule stating there's no direct question in general, because you're going to have the moderators in control of the microphone, that if someone wants to go outside of bounds, the microphone will just be taken from before that person. The participants or those who will be in attendance, not all of them will have access to St. Andrews prior to the day of the event. And speaking on the day of the event, since you don't have a flyer, we don't even know when the event is going to be taking place. And if you could please throw light on that. When is the event going to be taking place, and at what time will this event be held? Is it going to be starting? When is it going to be starting? And what time? What the date and time that the event is going to take place? And my first point here is that since you're going to be drawing ground rules, which you did not have before, can you see this as an opportunity to create ground rules that participants could participate? You don't have to take like 100 questions. You could take probably like 4 questions. Perhaps we could say two from the males and 2 from the females, but you want a general question. Do you see this now as a need to get the participants to be involved? Let's say to be involved in the process that we also want to achieve.
Thank you. So let me start with the easy one.
Yeah.
And that is the
timing.
Yeah, the timing. So we tentatively set April 2nd. It's on a Saturday, April 2nd.
That's one Saturday from now, right?
Yeah. Arrival time Arrival time is 9:30. That's what we propose. And we hope that candidates can arrive 9:30. And then we do all of the preliminaries. Then by 10 o'clock sharp, we start the process. Now, on this issue of whether we should allow people to ask questions, we are saying we want a process that we can manage. And so it will be difficult to define which question somebody should ask. And an attempt to stop someone from asking certain questions could be seen as, siding with a side. Because the person asking that question could be somebody that is supporting a side. And if you say, no, the way you're asking the question, that's not how we want you to ask the question. It could be like, but John or Mary just asked a question, you didn't stop them. This is how I want to ask my question. So to the extent that we do not want to have confrontation with people in defining what they should say, and that is what we said from the beginning, we want to ask questions that will be broad, thematic areas that cover almost everything that we are talking about every day in the church. And so we trust that the questions that we'll ask, or we hope that the questions that we'll ask will be general enough to cover the thoughts of the parishioners and those who will be seated there listening. Between you and myself, if we say we want to open up to start asking people, as you indicated, to say, don't say this, or the question should be confined here, then people will start having problems. That's not the question I want to ask. I want to ask this. Why do you want to restrict me? And so it will be very difficult to manage that process.
So don't you see this? Okay, so you are saying that the having participant or having the guest members, right? Having guest members like to confine and saying ask a general question, like for example, what do you hope to achieve in your first full year or your first 2 year? You say such a question will be difficult for participants or the attendees, sorry, to ask those kind of questions. But don't you think that it will be also difficult to have someone who will say, I'm not in a church edifice, I'm outside, but I will go live on my phone? Don't you see that? Because according to you, you said that you will lay some ground rules that if someone even clap or if someone say amen to somebody's escorted out of the hall, okay, they are going to be escorted out of the hall. So don't you see that also as don't you see that as like that it's going to be a trouble to actually coordinate these people to say, I mean, stay in the hall or don't stay in the hall, something like that.
So the first thing is that the embargo that is in place wasn't put there by us. So that is the first thing. So anybody attempting to go live or do anything, you'll be there going against the bishop's mandate. So it's not, that is something that is already in place. So with the least thing we expect is that all of us will abide by what the bishop have said. So we don't think anybody will want to go against what the bishop has said. So to go social media live, to whatever you want to do, is something that the bishop has said no to. And if all of the candidates have agreed to that. And so we hope that followers or supporters will also, we all of us as parishioners, we abide by what the bishop have said. And as I indicated, to the best of my knowledge, I think that has happened so far. And we don't think this one event will be an event that will cause people to go against that. We hope not. So again, we don't want to create a situation where we're being seen as giving one person edge to another person. So the question you just asked, if we ask that question to everybody, if the moderator asks the question to everybody, it's the question we want to ask. That's why we say we want to ensure that the questions that we ask will cover a broad spectrum of area that, to the extent possible, will cover the key issues that we are discussing in the church. We don't want to have an event where we come at the end and somebody say, oh, they organize the event, but they give Kennedy A over H over another. And just one thing to that, even the Kennedys themselves will not be allowed to ask each other questions. So, so because we don't want a situation where you asking another person some personal question. We do not have control over what you ask the person. So even the Kennedys will not be allowed to ask Kennedy A will not be allowed to ask Kennedy B a question. No.
Okay.
So the pre-defined questions will be the one that you respond to.
Thank you very much, Brother Monba. We have a caller. The person has a question or comment. So please state your name and state your question or your comment, please.
Yeah, this is Asisi Goya. Hello to all of you in studio. As usual, I appreciate the Malcolm connection. I'm actually calling now with a question, but with a commendation. That these groups are vision and what they're working on is great. And I think it's in the interest of the church. And ever since this election got announced, I've been one of those people looking for the fact that we look at these elections as not a campaign, but as an evangelism for folks to lead the church. So I appreciate the fact that they have all of these things in play. Where when you go to a town hall, to a political debate, most times they don't allow attendees to ask. I think they can ask the question. The moderators can ask questions based on themes, and the attendees or the voters can actually assure them from the answers given to them on those themes whether or not they choose to support certain candidates based on how to answer those questions. But I totally agree with them that opening up that Pandora box will allow people to ask questions. Who do you say can ask and who do you say cannot ask? And when do you cut off? Because if you say, well, we get it 10 questions, the next thing you get accused of being biased. Or they pick their own 10 people. They pick 2 people from another parish and 5 people from another parish. It becomes just who admire. I think other churches, other parishes can decide to do the same thing if they choose to. And the other thing is who really want to have access to the candidates to ask questions. I think they should seek out the candidates. I think the candidates should be seeking out voters to ask their personal questions. So if you have a personal question and you cannot get in touch with a candidate, if a candidate is not accessible, then maybe that person is not person to vote for. If the candidate is not accessible for you to ask them personal questions on your own time, then don't vote for that person. But I wholeheartedly appreciate the efforts of this group. I think it's in a step forward. And even if the election commission were to have a debate or were to organize a meeting, a forum of the candidates, they still won't allow everybody in attendance to ask questions, even if they allow 1 or 2 to ask questions. So I don't want to slice or dice this thing. People are going to feel like they were left out of the process if you allow questions to be asked. So I just want to say, for a long time, this is one of the pieces that I've seen on this connection that I really appreciate 100%. I got to do I just pray that you continue to do the work that you set your hearts to do, and that God will guide our people with yourself, and then come going to whether this is God's work, this is not churchly work, and that we are only looking for the best shepherd to lead the rest of the shepherds who lead that come to the church. Thank you so much. That became my cousin. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. I have that part and the condition of their own day on and the conference things are really important to us as people. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Brother Goya. Thank you so much. That was Brother Cesar Goya. He called us from Minnesota. He's a regular contributor. He's always contributing to our program. All of our programs here, he has contributed a lot. Um, we also have another call coming in. So what I will ask you to do is, Brother Moniba, if you have if there is a question or a comment and you want to respond to it, we are in the closing hours now or closing time, so you can just jot those, and then at the end, then
Okay.
you can make comments to that, like to respond to them. Okay. So we have
Okay.
another caller here. I'm going to put this person here through the phone. Hello, caller. Please state your name and ask your question or make your comment, please. Oh, go ahead, Brother Toto.
first of all, let me just test to you guys this news for the co-work and also to our guests that here in the studio. My question concern is when it comes to the EC involved in this process. We know that the election commission, the election committee, they are responsible to carry on the running of the election. And I don't know if they're Ghana, if they have anything they have research to have a debate. And if not, I really want to know if this group got the permission of the election commission to carry on a debate, or if it is a blessing of the committee, not just those are expiring.
So, is that all your question, or you want to go further?
So that's a question.
Okay, so
Just to find out if they get a blessing of the election commission to carry on access for task.
yeah. So, I want to state that Brother Moniba and Reverend Kokolo, they from the beginning of the show, they informed us categorically clear that they did not seek any um, like approval from the bishop's office, neither the elections committee. They came up with this idea. The idea originated from the men's ministry or the men's department, went to the administrative council. The council bought the idea and approved of the idea, and they went away contacting. They went right away contacting the qualified candidates, and the
So,
candidates. Yeah, go ahead.
if that's the case, so do you think that they are not violating the election law or the election laws?
Okay, Brother Moniba will speak to that, but I will also state that Uh, I will also state that the committee chairperson was on our show before, and he told us that he will encourage parishes to go ahead with debate because there were questions about if it is okay to carry on debate, and I don't see it in their guidelines, but he said he doesn't see any reason why debate cannot be held. Those who want to head the church should be asked some questions and be held accountable for um, their responses. So I think it's based on that St. Andrews decided to go, forth with this because the elections committee chairperson, Chairman Fomoyan, on one of his appearances, he said that he see no reason why parishes cannot have a debate. If that answers your question, but stating if they are going against the ethics of the policy of the elections committee, brother Brother Moniba will speak to that. Brother Moniba and Reverend Corcola, the both of them will speak to that. Do you have a follow up question?
So that's it.
Okay, thank you very much. This Brother Moniba, this was Brother George Toto. Brother George Toto is a regular contributor to Brother George Toto is a regular contributor to our program as well. So the fresh was the fresh was the fresh was Brother Goya. Uh, he was commending you guys on the job done. Great job done so far. And I too, from the very onset, we did appreciate you guys stating how um, grateful we are that you guys can try to put this off, and you were able to share more light on that. And he also encouraged the fact that since this is the first of its kind, and trying to get people together, making sure that um, we follow the process, because at this time now with this memo that came up, it kind of make it a little bit tight. And I kind of understand. I understand the point from which you guys are coming from. The memo make it pretty kind of tight. So he was just kind of buttressing the efforts of the team, stating that it is possible for participants or for the attendees to be at the program and listen, as compared to opening a opening a Pandora box that and the point he made, that you took people from this other parish, you did not take people from our own parish. I think it can cause a whole lot of. But anyway, this is this is the first of its kind again. I think St. Andrews is being so much particular and being very, very careful. You want to walk on that team line. You don't want to break it, and you don't want to, you don't want to see as the boogeyman. You don't want to see as someone who is too, So it's pretty much kind of difficult in this stuff. But I mean, so far I would say hats off to you guys from the team here at my Lutheran Connections. Um, you guys are doing an extremely great job. We spoke in the back end and we told you of our support. Any support that you need, uh, you can let us know. We are willing to work along with you. So we are in our closing time now. We're going about an hour and 30 minutes more. So we're gonna give you this time, you and the Reverend Corporal, to make some parting comments. If
Thank
you want,
you. I,
go
I
ahead.
I hope the Reverend can join. I see that he's trying to rejoin.
Yeah,
But I just need to first start by telling the brothers who call thanks for their interest in the process. I think, and that is what we want. I want to have interest in this entire process and for following the show today, and to all others who have followed us today, follow the show today. We are happy that the idea is being bought widely by parishioners and members of the Lutheran Church in and outside of Liberia. To our brother Toto, as to whether we are in any violation of the election guideline, to the best of our knowledge, no. And if we are in error, the date is the second. If we are called today by the bishop's office or by the elections committee to say you are in error, you cannot proceed with this, of course we stop to say, because we want a process that everyone will be happy and participate in the process. So if we're doing something that will undermine that process, then obviously we will, stop the whole process. But we think, to the best of our knowledge, we are proceeding as per the guidelines and embargo um, indicated or imposed by the bishop. We want to ensure that we follow all of that, just to keep the process on course. And let me also say thank you very much for the question today you asked, you and the brother
the
Tabi.
ambassador.
Yeah, the
And,
ambassador.
and, and and I will say quickly that he didn't ask those questions and you always ask because it's St. Andrews. So
Okay, but I thought he was more. I
I'll
thought
get messy with you. I'll get messy with you.
Yeah, I thought he was
So
more
he
critical than
asked
you.
those critical questions. Yeah.
Yeah, but obviously, and to be frank, the question today has brought up new dimension.
Right.
It has given us more reasons to even work harder. For
Exactly.
example, the issue of ground rules.
Right.
We were not, even though we are clearly indicated, articulated in the letters, but we were not thinking about ground rules. But
Right.
from tonight's discussion, we are going to develop ground rules that will be distributed on our day. We will print them. Aside from reading, we will print and distribute to people for people to have to share, to read as you go along, so that then in case you forget from the beginning that this was read, you can have people in your hand to always reference. We'll try to do that as well. On the issue of flyers, I think we didn't address that. We are developing a flyer, and just simple flyer. It's just to say, we still defining the theme, whether it's going to be the future of the church, a town hall meeting on the future of the church, and we'll put the candidates' pictures, we put the organizing people pictures there, and we share the time and the main thing of that flyer is just to share people the venue, the date, the time. so that people can, and also the candidates picture, so that people can be able to have it to follow. We have a sample already, but today we review it and we made some recommendation on a theme so that it's something more broad, and we were also brainstorming. Any of the candidates don't have the team, to the extent that we've been very careful. We don't want to write something that it appears that we are supporting a candidate. So flyers will be out. We hope by Monday or by Tuesday, flyers will be out. We share in the various chat rooms for people to see, to be able to participate in the process. But again, I want to say thank you very much for providing us opportunity on this very global space for people to listen, to follow us. And I'm happy that people are supporting this process. And let's work together to make this happen, and let's make history. So that future elections we can have, it will not be St. Andrew, it can be hosted by St. Matthew, it can be hosted by St. Peter's, it can be hosted by any other parish, and we will all work together to make it happen. I see the pastor is trying to join, but it's difficult. But I think for
Yeah,
me, those are
the pastor is trying to join us again. Um,
yeah.
Brother Moneyba, again, I want to say on behalf of the my Lutheran Connections online TV, we want to say thank you very much for joining us today. We want to say thank you to our pastor, the Reverend Kokolo. I would just say you know, that Reverend Kokolo is my senior brother. We were together at St. Matthew's Lutheran Parish. We were in the choir all together. He became our president. I have a very very strong confidence in him, including all of the other pastors. But I've I'm very very close to him. You know, very very close to him. So I'm pretty sure that the outcome from the event is going to go well. Okay, let us all pray for that. And we want to send this as an invitation right after the event. We want to bring you back on the show. What we learned from the town hall, what we can apply to the next time, what would be the best advice for anyone who wants to host a town hall, what can they learn from St. Andrew's experience. So we want to invite you again, and we want to say thank you very much in a very short space of time. Very short space of time, you accepted our invitation. You came here on the show. Again, want to say thank you very, very much. And to all of our viewers, we cannot name everyone. Brother Collie, he made a correction. This is a brother, not a sister, but a brother. Brother Buxton Collie. Okay, William Buxton Collie. We want to say thank you very much for your participation. Brother Newell Kennedy and the rest of the folks and everyone out there. We want to say thank you very much. Um, you heard it from the committee. They said that they're going to be coming up with, um, you know, the flyers. They're going to be letting us know when the event is going to be taking place and the rest of it. Again, until next week, we want to say thank you for being there with us. And we hope that you have a pleasant and blessed week. By God's grace, we will see you all next Sunday.